Okay. So coming back, what is this, part 5? Is this part 5? Okay, I think this is part 5. But coming back to where we were and what we were discussing. So the ideation phase, in addition to, throwing out ideas, the way we were throwing out ideas, the ideation phase is also working through different possible user paths as well, user flows. So we would also kind of rework this too. So we would kind of play around collectively as a group with different paths. So say, for example, looking at your user path here, your user flow, we got
Mm-hmm.
start, and then we have like the first thing they see is the welcome product overview. And then we have where they have the option, do you want to continue with the user experience or the non-user experience? Another possible workflow would be maybe a team member calls out and says, instead of us like having one full screen where they make a decision, maybe this option is up in the header, right? And then maybe we just see the welcome page and then they see all of this information. So another, I can't, let me duplicate. Okay. So let's say, for example, we came up with the idea and I was like, okay, let's take all of this, right? And let's copy that. And then let's call this user flow 1. And let's move everything over here. Wait, am I in the same? I don't even know where I am. I feel like I put it in the same spot.
So do
Okay, yeah, here it is. All right, so if I move this over here, and let's just say I want to say, what about, and to collectively as a team, we say, let's move this piece
mhm,
out. I don't even know how to disconnect this. Let me
delete
see.
the arrow.
Okay. So let's say, what if we had this experience where we take this and then we move this over here, right? And then what if we made this the same experience and, oh, I'm trying to do that. And let's say they, man, I feel disoriented. I don't know where anything is. Angela, where's the arrow here?
Yep, and then go up
Uh-oh, hold on. Right here.
to oh yeah,
Is it right here?
yeah, or the straight one, the straight one.
Okay, so let's say, oh, what about this possible flow? Right, that would be another idea. Let's say they come and then it's the welcome page, and then we have from the welcome page, we really don't need this. Let's say we just want them to go straight into this experience, and then that's another flow. So maybe like by the time we finish working out, as a team, maybe we have one, your original flow plus the other one we worked out, plus this is an option, right? So ideation is also working through different workflows or user flows. Ideation is also working through different prototypes. So like once we get through to the prototype phase and we start mocking things out, we're all going to have different ideas of collectively like how we think we should lay the page out and the view out. So ideation is all of that. Ideation is just, and another important thing about ideation is that ideation is a no judgment zone. Meaning like there are no bad ideas. We call it spitballing. You throw out
Okay.
everything you can possibly think of because we just want to, it's a brainstorming. It's a collaborative brainstorming session. And we just want to get every idea out. And then after we get all the ideas out, we kind of filter through the pile and we start keeping some and discarding others.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the ideation phase. And then I skipped a step. That's why I was wondering. The next stage will be prototyping. So with prototyping, you're going to go back to the people that you interviewed and you're going to have them walk through the process. So during this phase right here, what you're going to do is you're going to create different tasks, right? So you're going to tell the end user in the example, staying congruent. So let's just say we say, okay, one task may be, so this is what it may look like. You may give the people you interview this time they're your test, the people that you're using for your test, for your prototype, and you may say task to complete, right? And everyone gets this sheet or gets this email. And let's say one task that we want to say ship a package to a friend who lives in North Carolina. So we will sit back and we will watch them go through our prototype and try to, oh shoot, I'm a step ahead. That's not what prototyping is. I apologize. That's what we're going to use the prototype for, but that's not
Uh,
what prototyping is. I'm sorry, I'm a step ahead of
okay.
myself. But prototyping is when we actually start to design. We use Figma to actually design. Um, let me see. Let me see if I can find some examples of some prototypes. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me see if I can come up with a good example. Oh, shoot. I don't think I'm streaming. Hold on. Oh, yes, I am. Okay, good. So here are some good examples. Let me see if I can pull this up. So look, you see this? The first prototype I had you guys do was a hand sketch, but that's called a prototype. So paper prototypes, but then you will like advance your paper prototypes to prototypes that I don't want to, this is another, no, I don't want to do that. I'm trying to see if they have an example of so you see how this went from this to that? This is kind of what we call a high fidelity mock. So we don't want to be here yet because they're starting to add colors and branding and typography. But this is the evolution of your paper sketch, which is why I had you do the paper sketch first, because you want to
Okay.
show the evolution. So first you had a paper sketch, and then after you had a paper sketch, you have, I want to just see a plain wireframe. This is kind of one, but it's just not a good because it's a graph. Trying to see if I can switch it. This is another thing that you may see. Like sometimes we sketching it like that. You see
Oh.
this? Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
you want to do the paper sketch. You do want to have that.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make one of those.
So once you move into prototyping, this is all about paper. I'm trying to see. Let me go.
Can we put that link on that page?
Yeah. Oh, let me see. So I don't forget. Okay, I just pasted it.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm trying to think of a I just want to show you an image of it. Mhm. It shouldn't be this hard to find an image. I keep coming up with paper sketches. Oh, here's one. This is paper too. Okay, this one is. All right, this is a good example. I don't know if some people actually click on it. Okay, yeah, this is good. So here's another one. So like when we prototype in Figma, it's gonna look like this. You see how it's just basic black and white?
Uh-huh.
So just basic black and white squares and boxes, because all we're really doing in this phase is we're just working through the flow, kind of creating clickable flows. So we don't want to invest a lot of time in colors and aesthetics and graphics because we don't even know if that's the design we're going to stick with. So you don't want to invest that time before we solidify or lock down the design direction that we're going to go in. So your first level of your after you so your there's many windows open, losing myself again. But your Figma file, your workflow, so you convert your workflow into screens and you'll represent each one of and we're gonna do mobile, but as well as desktop. And it's just squares and boxes. That's it, squares and boxes. And then we'll talk about that together, right?
Okay.
What's that other screen? Here it is.
So we're in the prototype framework.
Right. Right now, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about prototyping. But as a class, we're not at prototyping yet. We're still here. Your homework, you have to, your homework assignment is you have to go out and interview everyone. You have to formulate all your questions. You have to create a group of people and you have to actually interview those people. And then when you bring the data back, then you're going to go through and you're going to come up with a problem statement. And then once you establish a problem statement, you're going to also come up with your proposition statement. This is the define, when you clearly define what the problem is. And then after you clearly define what the problem is, you're going to start coming up with possible solutions. And then when we meet in class next week to get collectively, we're also going to look at each other. So we're going to look at your problem statement for your business person. We're going to look at Janella's problem statement for her real estate person. And we're going to take time to, in real life, in real time, ideate different possible solutions based on the responses you got back from your interviews, right? So in terms of where you actually are, you're right here, but we're talking about the prototyping phase. So we prototype what we decide to keep from all of our brainstorming sessions. So with our brainstorming session, we come up with all these ideas and then we talk through and then we kind of vote and we kind of make a decision on which design direction we're going to go in. And after we prototype, then that's when we use the prototype for testing, right? So I was a step ahead of myself. Now in the prototype and test. So create an early model prototype that can be used for testing. So that's what I was saying. Like and then that's when you're going to go back to your the people you interview and you're going to have them walk through the prototype. And that's where I was at this phase when I was saying your scenarios, how your scenarios look. So your scenarios will look like, I could have sworn I started typing, but it must have been in a different. With this. So you're going to get them tasks. Task for testing. And you'll say things like, say for example, back to our FedEx example, you would tell them what's some tasks you would want to if we go back to
Mhm.
our shipping example, what's some tasks you would want to see
Um,
users complete?
Filling out their address information
Yeah. Well, first start off with the overall task. The
oh,
overall task, what's the end goal?
to ship a package.
Yeah. Ship a package to a friend. I know I typed this, who lives, it must have been on the other Google Doc, in North Carolina, right? And then the second task, now you can start diving in to what you were going out. Diving in, what do you want to ask them to do?
Fill out their address information.
Yes. Complete your address information. And what's the next task you want them to do?
Then they're going to select the shipping rate. Oh, shipment details.
Yeah, complete shipment details. But I feel like with this test, a good idea would be just to say, fill out the ship a package. I would be curious to see if they know that once they complete this, will they intuitively click the continue button to go to the other sections? Because I would want to test if the accordion is a hiccup for them or a pain point. You know what I mean? Like I would be curious. So I would maybe instead of guiding them, maybe I would say um fill out all sections. I would leave it generic just to see what they do. I would say something like be sure to complete all sections of form. Because I'm just wondering, would this be a hiccup for them? You know what I mean? Another task would be to ask them to perform a detailed address check to see if they can figure that out.
Okay.
Because the purpose of like testing is to have them the purpose of testing is to identify what the ultimate goal is and then to see if they can complete the ultimate goal. And then anything in between that you feel could be a hiccup, you want to ask them to do that to challenge them. So say for example, my question would so when you're looking at this, what do you foresee as a team? What do we foresee that could be a possible source of confusion for them that we want to test out?
I would say from address and to address. I mean, it is kind of common sense, but then I make an assumption. But I feel like they could be different colors, maybe because they look exactly the same.
Mm-hmm. But that's it, but you're ahead. That's the ideation phase once we get so that's back, you would have said that the step before.
Oh, okay.
So that would have been when we were in this phase. Let me go back. When we were in prototyping, that's a prototyping conversation.
Okay.
So that would have been your so here when we have empathize, define, ideate, and prototype, that would have been one of the suggestions that you came up with when we were prototyping. Well, not really, because we're not even in the color phase yet. So that's going to be a decision once we get the test results back and we start to actually design the final high fidelity mock,
Hmm.
which also happens in, so it kind of goes like this. You see my mouse? So the first thing you do is you do a low fidelity black and white and then you test, right? And then you kind of keep going back and forth until they don't have really bad pain points. Because that's to say we prototype, we test, and everybody gets stuck on selecting their shipping rate. We got to come back to the prototype and change it and then have them test again. And then let's just say like no one gets stuck on the shipping, but now they're getting stuck on going back and changing an address. We got to go back to prototype. We got to change it around and then we got to test again. So this phase goes like this until we get to a point where they can achieve the goal without pain points. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we're going from this look right here. So we're developing this and these buttons are clickable, but they're just not pretty, right? They're just black and white. So we give this to the end user and then we assess and then they give us feedback and then we go back and we change it around. Maybe our second prototype looks like this screen and then we give it back to them and then change it around. You see what I mean? Now, once we get to the point where they can go all the way through, that's when we say, okay, we got a good prototype. Let's transform this from this into, this with all the colors and all the prettiness. But you don't want to do this and invest all that time and we got problems in the flow and the basic functionality. You follow me? Yes, no?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Um, yeah, for some reason I lost where I was. So we're testing. Where am I? Where am I? Right. Okay, that's where. So we're in this phase. But I feel like I was going through a scenario. I think I made my point. My point is like, so you're gonna go out, oh, we were creating scenarios. What other scenarios do we want to test for? So perform detailed, why do I have perform? Oh, perform a detailed address. What is this
You
task?
had lookup, you had address lookup or something.
It was
You
this.
had address
Perform
search.
detailed address check. This is
Yeah.
what I was, right, okay. So we want them to perform a detailed address check. So we want to tell them to do that. That's another task we're going to ask them to complete. Oops. This is too much. Going back and forth. Let me close this again. Yeah. All right. That's a better experience. Okay. What else? Perform a detailed address check. What else? What other tasks do we want to test?
If they put in like their email wrong, or yeah, their email wrong, like can they check their email? Or am I not think? Like if they misspell something in there, but does that I don't know how to detail address check works.
Yeah, we don't really know what that is, but we just know it's a thing. So I don't know. We'll just put it down because this is just hypothetical. What else do we
Are
want to check?
we talking about those only those four options there, or are we talking about for the criteria, like checking the package as well?
No, so
Or we
what's our
just
focus? Our focus is the shipping experience. So that's all we're talking about is the shipping experience. And we're
okay.
testing the user experience of going through the shipping a package. So our objective is to make sure they can ship a package without any hiccups. So what do we need to have them do? So we're going to like sit back and observe them ship a package. So what tasks do we want them to complete so that we can observe whether or not they can successfully ship a package? So we're going to give them a task. And so say, for example, if you're my test subject, I'm going to say, hey, Janella, ship a package to your friend who lives in North Carolina. That's all I'm going to tell you to do. I'm going to sit back and watch you go through the process. What else do I want to tell you to do?
Are you talking about under the address information or moving on to the shipment details?
Whatever you see that needs to be done. Which one? Do you think that we've tested everything here? Do you think that we've tested every task we need to observe?
So is that something?
I think an email
Check
verification.
maybe
Wait,
check to see. Oh well, no, that would be under the detailed address check. So yeah, I think we've done everything here.
okay, so
So
let's
move
fill
on
all
to
this
shipment
out.
details.
Well, I think an email confirmation should be there.
That's a design. We're not in that phase yet.
It is.
That's not, we're not at that phase. We just want to see can they complete the task.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Not if they have the right email.
No, I'm just saying, like, is there anything wrong with the user interface? What you're talking about is um like the actual functionality of the app. Like, does the app actually work? Is it verifying the information that's entered? All of that stuff that's a development concern, right? But
Okay.
we're just trying to figure out from a designer point of view, the user interface. Is this user interface intuitive to the end user? So Kim, I don't know. We now company. Yeah, I already fill this out. Okay, so let's continue. All right. Are there any tasks that we want to have them do here?
Pick a date.
Yeah. So how do we state that?
Select a date.
What kind of date?
A shipping date.
Yes. Select the shipping date. What else do we want them to do?
The time and
I'm
rate.
sorry, one more time.
Select the time and rate.
Select what kind of, I don't know what you mean. Like select what type of time.
The shipping time.
So when you look at what is it called exactly?
The delivery date.
Mm-hmm. Select a delivery date. It's
I thought
very,
we already did.
no, we select the shipping date.
Oh, so selecting the delivery date would help select the time and rate too.
Mm-hmm. Because I think it's different prices depending on like how fast you want it. The delivery date, I believe, is the time it arrives to them. Like, so I'm going to ship it to you on the 3rd, on the 23rd, but you should get it by the 25th. You see what I'm saying? Like, so I'm going to ship it on the 23rd, but it should arrive to your house. So if I wanted to arrive at your house on Monday, it's $41. If I wanted to arrive at your house on Tuesday, it's $30. And if I can wait until Wednesday, it's only $11.
So this might be a user issue because I didn't even see those dates across the top, those purple
Mm-hmm.
in the boxes. So
Right.
I was thinking that that date that you selected already was like, you know, the
Mm-hmm.
date that was being selected. I didn't even
So,
realize that the delivery
right.
date was
So that's
different than the
something that would
shipping.
be on our radar. And that's why you would ask them to select a delivery date to see if they get stuck the way you got stuck. You see what I mean? So that's actually a good
Right.
example. So that's exactly why we would say select a delivery date. Because if you were the person I was testing, you would have been stuck like I already did that. I don't understand what you're asking me to do. You would have got stuck on that step.
Mhm.
So I need to test to see like, is everybody getting stuck on this step? Like how many people are getting stuck on this step? So that's why it's important that we ask them to select a delivery date to see if that even makes sense to them. Is it confusing to them like it is to us? You see what I mean? This is the point of testing the prototype.
Mhm.
Okay. What do we want them to do now? What's another task? What's the point of these tasks again? The point of the task is to what?
Identify a pain point, right?
Yes. And also to do what? To see if they can achieve the ultimate goal. And what's the ultimate goal?
To ship a package.
Yes. So what so what else do we want to assess? What else do we want to observe? What else is going on in this page?
Um,
Like take the time and actually read it.
like yeah. They can give the date, time. So they can hold that location or
They can do what?
hold that location
Where is that? I don't even see that. Where do you see that?
right under additional service options.
Okay.
Where
So that's another task. What other task?
continue.
Nope. You missed a lot of stuff on this step.
Check to select another delivery date.
What did you say? You sound like a robot. Say it one more time. I think Janella's going through a bad section. Do you see other tasks that we need to test for? Like if you really
A
Janella,
signature type,
huh?
signature type,
Where is that? I don't even see the stuff you see. Where's the signature type?
right there where your mouse is.
Here?
Uh-huh.
You said signature type?
Yeah.
Oh, right here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What other type? Janella, can you say that again if you can hear me? So another task would be once they're stepping through the process, we would ask them to change their package type. So edit, make a change to your package type. So you know how like they could be ordering and then they be like, oh, I need a bigger package. And they may need to go back and choose a different package type. So we want to see if they can successfully do that. Because that's an option right here. Can you see it?
Oh yeah, I see that now, but I could barely see it.
And that's exactly why we need to test for it.
Okay.
So when they went here, it's like, okay, they may want to change it. So we had this one selected. So let's change to that. Because they more than likely they're not gonna notice it either. You see what I'm saying? That's a pain point. Because what if I am that's a possible pain point because what if I am trying to ship the package and then I'm like, oh, I chose the wrong size. I'm gonna feel frustrated because I don't notice that I can go back and change it. So we want to see them go through that process. What's another challenge to give them?
Janella said, select another date and time, another
Yeah.
shipping date.
Yeah. Is she messaging me? Let me open up the messenger.
Yeah, she sent a message. It
Okay.
pops up on our screen, like if somebody sends a message in the correct chat.
Yes. Okay. Yep. So that's another task. So let's go ahead and move forward. Continue. What tasks do we want them to complete on here on this view?
Enter payment information.
Yep. Enter payment information and submit payment. What's something that typically happens?
They put their credit card number in wrong.
Yes. What about if they want to be able to go back and forth? So what's some other tasks? Let's say they're like, oh, you talk to your friend and your friend is like, oh, that's not my address. You got the wrong address. And they may need to do what?
Go back.
And do what?
Change your address.
So what do we say exactly? How do we
Edit
word?
address.
Huh?
Edit address.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, edit your personal address information. What if they need to edit who they're sending it to?
Edit shipping location.
What's the exact verbiage?
Edit shipping address. Oh, shipment details.
Right. So you see edit shipment details. So the reason when you're conducting a test, your verbiage matters because you don't want the source of the confusion to be you. Because you're trying to clearly identify whether or not it's confusing for them to step through the process. So if the way you word the test adds a layer of confusion, or if the way you word the test adds a disconnect in continuity, your data results are going to be skewed because you don't know if they were confused because you called it something it wasn't, or because they really couldn't find the step. Does that make sense? So you have to be
Yeah.
specific. So like if you say, okay, go back and edit your shipment details. You can't just say, go back and edit I don't know what you said, but you have to make sure that the task match the screen.
Okay.
And then we will enter that and we will continue. So yeah, so that's pretty much how you would do that. So going back to our here, that's part of prototyping and testing. So you're going to create the prototype. And then after you create the prototype, you're going to create a list of tasks that you want the users to go through. And as they are going through the task, your interview questions kind of come back into play. So the way this looks is you'll say, ship a package to a friend who lives in DC, in North Carolina. Be sure to complete all sections of the form, right? And then, but under this, you will say, were you able to successfully ship the package? Right? And it's going to be yes or no. So it's going to be like yes or no. And then what's the follow-up question? What's the follow-up question?
If no,
Mm-hmm.
oh wait, well yes. If no,
Mm-hmm.
what issues were you
Yeah.
having?
Yeah. What issues that you run into?
Okay.
See? Because then, they'll say what we said. You know how we were talking back and forth, and we were like, "Well, I didn't even notice that," or "I didn't
Mm-hmm.
even." So that's what they're gonna write to us, and then that'll be our signal to go back into our prototype. So,
Okay.
like, if this were a black and white prototype, we would say, "Oh, okay, well, maybe, um, maybe this needs to be a button." You know what I mean? So in our prototype, we would shift it from text and make it a big button to choose another shipping package or whatever. So yeah, and then you go through and that's how you run the test for that. So back to our business requirements. Again, the business requirements are the requirements from whatever entity assigns the project and includes the goals and the parameters. And we talked about that. We talked about empathizing. We talked about the interviews. Now, one thing that we going back to the interviews, I'm going back to the empathize phase. One thing that we do too is when we're going through that phase, it's a great tool for processing information that we collected. So classic empathy maps draw from interview data to answer 5 questions. So we want to talk about exactly who exactly are the users and what are their situations. So going back to phase 1, where we said we were going to interview. So we would say something like the users were ages 5 through, I'm sorry, the users were ages, what age did you say? 15 and up?
Yeah, 15 and up.
Uh-huh. And what were their situations? Their situations would be that they are looking to improve
Their
their
health and wellness.
yeah, their health and wellness. Yeah. And what do users say about their experiences with products or similar products? So it's like you'll look through all of those answers we got and you'll see what's the common theme that kept coming up, right? So the users may say, for your example with the health and wellness, they may say, well, I don't like that I can never get in contact with the trainer. And that may be something that you see popping up over and over again. Or they may say, I like how easy it is to log in, but I don't like that I don't see anything about myself, or I don't see my details, or I can't track my progress. Or they may say, I love that I can log into my member area and I can see my before and after pictures. And I love being able to see how much weight I lost. And I love being able to track how many my macronutrients, right? But you're looking for the common thing that you keep hearing over and over, and that's going to be your answer to question number 2, which is what do the users say about their experiences with the product or similar product or the product or similar products. What do users think about their experiences? And that's why we were asking those questions. The rating from 1 to 10, because that gives us that feedback. Because you have to create an empathy map. So an empathy map is another thing that's going to be on your certification exam. And these are the 5 questions. These are the 5 classic questions for an empathy map. And those 5 questions are, who exactly are the users and what are their situations? What do users say about their experiences with the product or similar products? What do users think about their experiences? What do users do before, during, and after their experiences? And what do users feel? What do they feel about their experiences? So all of that information comes from the answers to the questions, to these questions. So if you look at our questions, there's a method to the madness, right? Because our question says, in your example, are you currently a member on any fitness platform? Or have you been in the past? So when we look at our empathy map, uh, when we look at our empathy map says, um, let me see, what do users say about their experiences with the product or similar products? If yes, what features do you find easy and intuitive? That's going to give you your answer to number 2. So the users say that typically the login experience is easy, but getting in contact with the instructor is not easy. That's the answer to number 2. What do users think about their experiences? And which part of the question answers that for the empathy map? Which part of this question answers that? You can take time and read it. So take time and read this, and which part of it answers what they think about their experiences. Which part of this question answers that?
What features did you find difficult or frustrating?
Yep. And then the what do users do before, during, or after their experiences? I don't think we really have a question that answers that, so maybe we should add one. That may be like a different form of interview question. So maybe we need to add a question that says, how often or when do you typically, what time of day do you typically use or log in, or you know what I mean? Because like say for example, if they say, so what would be a relevant question so that we can answer this? What do users do before, during, or after their experiences? So going back to the fitness example, what would be a question?
Before, what did you guys do before, during, and after? So before, mm,
I would say, what time of day do you typically utilize the app? Because that's
okay.
gonna yeah, that'll answer all of it for us. Because if I say, what time of day do you typically log into your fitness app? If they tell me in the morning, then I know that's before they go to work, and then they get a shower and they go to work. If they tell me, like after work, then I know that before their experience, they're at work, and then you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I think a good question for us to ask in general, I put under like the general category, would be, what time of day do you typically log into the app? And that'll answer all those other questions. And the reason that's important is because um it's important to know the user's mind frame. Like, are they in a rush when they're using the app? Or are they kind of laid back on the couch, just, you know what I'm saying? Like, so say for example, it kind of lets you know what their sense of urgency is when they're using the app, and that's going to kind of guide your hand when you're designing. Because if I tell you that I typically log in the morning, I know that it needs to be quick because I'm probably rushing to go to work. Or even even if I say I usually do it after work, then maybe I have a little bit more time, or maybe I have time to read a banner, or maybe I have time to read a promotion. You see what I'm saying? But if most of your users are using the app before work, for you to show them a banner or a promotion is irritating, because it's like, I just want to hurry up and get to what I'm doing. If they tell you that typically they're looking at the app after work, and if the stakeholder wants to show a banner, it may not be as irritating, and it may be okay for me to put it as one of the first things they see. You see what
Hey,
I mean?
I have a question
Mm-hmm.
because you said this is on exam, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this question would most definitely trip me up because when it's asking, what do users do before, during, and after their experience, it to me it's kind of like, okay, well, what are they doing before they log on to the app or during?
Oh, wait, before you go there, these questions are not there for you to answer. They want you to know what are the empathy map 5 questions.
Okay.
So let me tell you what I'm saying is you're not going to take an exam and the exam says who exactly are the users and what are their situations, and then it's your responsibility to say my user. That's not on the exam. The exam
Okay.
is, do you know the 5 questions that you should be able to answer?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The exam is, do you know what 5 questions you should be able to answer after you conduct your interviews? So the answer is, I should know who exactly are my users and what's their situation. As a designer, I should know what the users say about their experiences and the products or similar products. I should know what you see what I'm saying? These questions are the answer, not you answering the questions, just knowing what questions you should be able to answer is the answer.
Oh, okay. All right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, because I was so confused.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See, it says great tools for processing information the designer has collected. Classic empathy maps draw from interview data to answer 5 questions. So the exam is going to be, what's an empathy map? An empathy map is
Asking those questions.
of yourself
Okay.
as the designer, as a design team.
Okay.
So the empathy map is it's a tool for processing information the designer has collected. That's what an empathy map is.
So would number 5 be correlated to what they would add?
Yes. It would be, are you frustrated? What do they feel about their experience? So you know how each question we say, what features did you find difficult or frustrating?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that
So
would
we
be
would say
that
like,
one.
yes, that one. They felt frustrated. What features would you like to see added? Or
Mm-hmm.
they feel pleasure or they enjoy it. So the
Mm-hmm.
answer to this question, when you see it on the exam, what is an empathy map? An empathy map is a tool for processing information the designer has collected, and it typically and it typically empowers the designer to answer 5 questions. That's the answer. And then the exam may say, what are the 5 questions a designer should be able to answer using an empathy map? That's the question on the exam. Does that make sense? So the question is, what question should you be able to answer? No, what questions are on an empathy? What questions make up an empathy map? That's the question. What is an empathy map? What's the answer? An
A
empathy
great tool
map,
for processing.
yeah.
I thought you were really asking.
Yeah, I was really asking, what's an empathy map?
Oh, a
What's
great tool for processing information the designer has collected.
right? And then so here's another exam question. Um, what 5 questions should your empathy map answer?
Who are the users and what are their situations? What
Mm-hmm,
do users say about their experiences with the product or similar products?
mm-hmm,
What do users think about their experiences? What do
mm-hmm,
users do before, during, and after their experiences?
mm-hmm.
And what do users feel about their experience?
That's the answer. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So the empathy map, it expounds upon the user information included in the business requirements, and it may challenge the stakeholders' assumptions. That's another thing about the user map. So the empathy map. So once you get all this information back, Angela, this is a perfect example for you because your empathy map is definitely going to challenge the stakeholders' assumptions. Because after you gather all this information, the business requirements are going to change. Your initial business requirements were just to make sure that they can book an assessment. The new business requirements are they need to be able to book an assessment, become a member, find out your contact information, learn about the the services that you offer, track their progress. Those are the new business requirements that you're proposing to the stakeholder. Does that make sense?
Yes.
User personas. You 100% definitely hands down will be quizzed on user personas. So personas are fictional characters who represent groups of similar users. So a persona is this person that you make up in your head, literally. So you kind of just come up with a person and you give her a whole narrative, you give her a backstory, her or him. You give them a backstory, you come up with this scenario of who's actually using the application or the product. So, for example, I created a persona, and my persona says Kim is a middle-aged woman with a busy schedule, juggling her job and her kids' after-school programs. She is looking to get back to investing time in herself, but is limited on time and she's always on the go. She enjoys fitness services that allow her to work at her own pace and are easy to book, schedule, and stay connected with her trainer. Persona.
Mhm.
You literally have to create a persona.
Kim is me.
Right. And that is listen, that means I created a freaking good persona because that persona should embody a lot of people. Right. But it's just that you're giving character and you're giving life opposed to just trying to design for an abstract. Because when you keep that persona in mind as you're designing, like who the typical user is, it's going to make a lot of, because listen to what I'm pointing out. Kim is a middle-aged woman. What part of good design is that? What are the keys of good design? What are the characteristics of a good design?
Define.
No, what are the keys? The characteristics of you have a good design if
um,
your design is what?
Equitable,
Yes,
um, usable,
yes,
useful,
yes.
and there's another E one.
Angela, help her
Um,
out.
Enjoyable.
Yes.
See, she got it.
It's all of us. All right. So Kim is a middle-aged woman. Is that speaking to usable, equitable, useful, or enjoyable?
Equitable.
Yep. Kim is a middle-aged woman with a busy schedule. Busy schedule is going to give us keys for which part of our design.
Useful
Yes,
or usable. Okay.
both.
Yeah.
Juggling her job and kids after school. She is looking to get back and invest in time in herself, but is limited on time. What is that?
Socioeconomic. Oh,
Yeah. Yes. So well, yeah. But why would that be social economical? What does that have to do with money?
because she's investing time in herself. She has limited time.
Social economics is flat out how much money you make a year.
Right. So,
So you can invest time in yourself without spending money.
oh,
I think that that part is enjoyable though.
No,
It should
that
be.
limited
It's not.
time is going to speak
No,
to,
no. The part about her investing time in herself.
oh yeah. Yeah, I can see that speaking so enjoyable. Investing time in herself, but it's limited on time. So limited in time is going to speak to usable or useful.
Usable.
Yeah. And she's always on the go. Usable or useful.
Useful.
She
No,
enjoys
that's
her.
usable.
Wait, what is it?
I thought it was useful, but is it usable?
Wait, always on the go?
It's useful.
Usable. Because you want it to be
Okay, so
quick.
right. So she
Um,
need to be
she
able to
en
get to it.
yeah, she enjoys fitness services. That one is easy.
Enjoyable.
Yeah, that allow her to work at her own pace. Is it usable?
Usable.
You yeah. And are easy. easy to book, schedule, and stay connected to her trainer.
Useful. Or is that
Mm,
equitable?
easy, easy.
It's usable then.
Yeah, yeah. So your persona should hit all of those factors. Your persona should hit all of the key components of a person's life that's going to tap into what does this person need in order for the app to be usable? What does this person need in order for the app to be equitable? What does this person need in order for the app to be useful? And what does this person need in order for the app to be enjoyable? So Kim is a middle-aged woman with a busy schedule, juggling her job and kids after school programs. She's looking to get back to investing time in herself, but is limited on time and always on the go. She enjoys fitness services that allow her to work at her own pace and are easy to book schedule and stay connected with her trainer. See, this approach brings the persona to life opposed to trying to memorize the details in abstract. Because what we've been doing up to this point is trying to memorize the details in abstract. Abstract is when we were like, so here's the abstract. Oh man, where is my abstract? Here's the abstract. Age. Remember we were asking a question that was real dry and like scientific? You guys remember that?
No.
This was, you don't remember week one? This was week one.
We were doing what?
You don't remember when we answered these questions in week one when we looked at, remember we looked at the interviews that you guys had with the business owners, and we were asking what's the age of your target, what's their sex, what's their interest, what's their behavior, what's their buying behavior, what's the geographics. Remember you guys answered that? That was week one of the homework.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is personas, this is called an abstract. These are the details of the abstract person. This is just an abstract person. What's the age? The age is 30, 25 to 50. What's the sex? Primarily female. What's their interest? They may shop at Lululemon and they shop at Giant Eagle and they what's another thing we could generically say? I don't know. They watch Desperate Housewives. What's their behavior? What's their buying behavior? Their buying behavior is whatever. What's their internet hangout? They usually hang out on Gymboree and they hang out on what's another another online hangout behavior? Maybe they're a group of a Facebook chat, right? Those are abstracts. The persona takes all of this information and makes it into a real person. Kim is a middle-aged woman with a busy schedule, juggling her job and kid. That makes it easy for you to remember the abstract you came up with when you come up with a persona. And remember, the whole goal is empathy. So you empathize more with a person than with an abstract. When you make your persona human, you have more empathy because there's a different emotional tug. Because the first thing you said was, Janella, you was like, she's me. Well, you're going to design differently when you can relate to her as a working mom, opposed to this is a different emotional connection when you're designing, opposed to this. Which one creates more of a empathetic design motivation for you? Saying it this way or saying it this way? Which one? I can't hear anything.
Are you saying to say it the way it's written or as opposed to what?
I'm saying if you're designing, do you feel like a more emotional connection for who you're designing for when I describe it this way, or when I describe the person you're designing for this way? Which one is more personable?
Oh, the first one, the paragraph.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So you're saying
because
versus
because the whole purpose of the design is for you to be empathetic. So the more you make it, the more you know how people say like, "Oh, I'm just a statistic." You know what I mean? Opposed to it's different when you have like a human connection opposed to someone just being a statistic, is what I'm saying. So this
True.
approach brings the persona of life opposed to trying to memorize the details in the abstract. User stories. So a user story is a one-sentence narrative told from the persona's perspective. Who the user is, what they want to do, why they want to do it. So this is you have to memorize this. That is the template for user stories. At every job you go to, you will write a user story. And it has to be formatted that way. So let me put this in your doc. I got too many windows open, y'all. This is not a good user experience.
Do you mind if I step away for a second?
Okay, you can come back and rewatch. All right. Okay, here's the user story. Oh, it's time for a break. It's time for our 15-minute break anyway. So I will see you guys back. Oh, I went over. I'll see you back at 3:50.
Okay.
Okay.